If you're an author and you've written 1, 2, 3 or more books, and your books are somewhere collecting dust, maybe you've left them in your basement like an artifact because no one is buying your book, or your books are currently on some platform like Amazon KDP or Ingram Spark, and they're there collecting virtual dust, and you're just tired. You just want to know how you can actually get paid for the work that you put into that intellectual property of yours. Then this is the most important piece of content that you're going to watch and listen to today. Today I'm going to be teaching you the $3 million skills that authors need but don't have. And in a bit to really explain this and help you understand this, I'm going to really go into some detail, and I'm going to also be sharing some portion of my book titled How to Make Millions as an Authorpreneur. There are some really key truths that I put down in this book. I wrote this book in 2018, and what I put down in this book is still so powerful. And so let's get right into today's conversation. Now, what is a skill? A skill is the ability to do something really well. That's the simple way that we can define a skill. And it would interest you to know that many authors are broke like a joke and ready to choke because they lack the skills that can take them from being just authors to being authorpreneurs. Now, you may wonder, what does it mean to be an authorpreneur, right? What is the difference between being an author and being an authorpreneur? Well, I'm going to tell you before we get into my book. Now, to be an author actually means to be very skilled at writing and publishing, to be good at taking a thought, an idea, a story, a picture in your head, and turning that into words that move people, words that compel people, words that causes people to pay attention, words that causes people to get an insight, to get a transformation, right? Even though most authors nowadays are basically just, drafting what we call information products instead of actually creating transformation products, the real authors are people who know how to take an idea, take a thought, take an imagination, turn it into words, and those words become so powerful that they can be hung as pictures in the minds of readers, right? That's who an author is. And guess what? It is wonderful and fantastic to be an author because most people never end up becoming an author. Most people never end up writing the book they've always wanted to write. So if you're an author and you succeeded in writing your first book or your second book or your third book or your umpteenth book, congratulations, right? I commend you and I congratulate you because it means that you're unique. It means you're special, because there are millions and billions of people who are heading for their graves with their $1 million books sitting in their head, but you successfully birthed that book in your head. You successfully birthed your brainchild. So you deserve some accolades, right? So give yourself some accolades, right? Give yourself some flowers. You deserve your flowers. But guess what? Being an author alone is not enough, because just being an author will not put food on your table. Why? Because when you're an author, you stop at writing and publishing. In fact, to be an author, you just need to be really good at writing, communicating your thoughts through words in print, and then you need to be good at publishing, right? And sometimes you don't even need to be good at publishing, because you can get some publisher to publish for you, or you can use a platform to do your publishing, right? So you just need to be good at writing, actually, to be a good author. But writing alone will not put the money in your pocket, and writing alone will not put food on your table. And that's why there's nobody who celebrates you for being the best writing author. Have you ever seen an award for the best writing author? No. What you usually hear about is an award for being the best-selling author, right? And so that is really instructive, because there's a reason why people celebrate you for being a best-selling author and not being a best writing author. You can write all you want. You can write the best book. You can write the best story. You can write the best poetry. But if nobody buys it, you are as good as the guy who never wrote the book, right? But that's not to say that your efforts are not recognized. That's not to say that your gifts and your skills are irrelevant. All I'm trying to get you to understand is that there's a higher level. Now you've gotten to this level, you've written your book, you published your book, you want to take it to the next level. If you really want to cash in on your creativity, I want to teach you how to actually monetize your creativity. And that's what differentiates authors from authorpreneurs. Authors only know how to articulate their creativity in writing, but authorpreneurs know how to turn their articulation to compensation by building a business out of their writing. Right now, look at this book here. This book, How to Make Millions as an Authorpreneur. This book made me about $20,000 last month, right? Several of my books out there, they make me money, and sometimes I don't need to sell the book, the copy of the book, to make good money from the book. Why? Because of these skills that I'm going to be teaching you in today's conversation. Before I go into teaching you the skills that you need to succeed as an authorpreneur that can change the game for your finances if you actually know how to write a book, I'm going to explain to you something that really profound. Now, in a bit to help you understand the difference between an author and an entrepreneur even further, I'm going to read you a portion of this book, right? How to Make Millions as an Entrepreneur. And I'm on page 34, right? In the third paragraph of page 34, it says, as an entrepreneur who builds a business empire out of his books, you have a noble career that can span a lifetime. You can choose to write books and monetize your craft as long as you live. You can also choose to retire at 50 or any age of your choice after building businesses out of your books and depositing your life's message in books. As an entrepreneur, you work on your own terms while creating employment opportunities and business opportunities for several other people. Being an entrepreneur gives you an opportunity to make your joy your job and to profit from your passion and potential by building a lifetime career from it. Trust me when I say it is not an easy ride to stardom when building a career as an entrepreneur. People will talk you out of it while others will mock your efforts. But if you know that this is what you're passionate about, believe me when I say you can generate a steady six-figure income from your books. Right? All you need to do is to ensure that you get it right from the point of idea conception, book development, publishing, and automated marketing. But we'll come to all of that now. Let me read something else to you that would really blow your mind. All you need to be a great author is to have great writing skills and a good content. And I already spoke about that, but I just want to reiterate it so that you get it clearly. You can have these two and just be fine as an author with the hope that millions of copies of your books will be sold. Now, there's something about being an author. As an author, you expect to make money by selling a copy of your book. So you're looking for people to buy your book. So you put your book, you scatter your book, you litter different platforms with your books. You scatter your books around and you are hoping that your books will get visibility. You are hoping that someone will buy your books on this platform. And so you rely heavily on selling one copy of your book to one person every single time before you can make money from your book. But entrepreneurs think differently. As an entrepreneur, you can sell 2 million copies of your book to one person, right? If you dial it in correctly. As an entrepreneur, you can sell 100,000 copies of your book to one organization. That's how entrepreneurs think. They think like business owners. They think like entrepreneurs, right? So an entrepreneur is basically an entrepreneur that has the ability to communicate his thoughts, his ideas in ways that authors would. But an author is someone that just knows how to write wonderful and fanciful stuff and put them in books. And, that's not enough, right? So entrepreneurs know how to make their money even when their book has not been bought out by millions of people. Authors are satisfied with being able to polish their talent into a desirable skill, but entrepreneurs are not satisfied until they can master the business of their talent. They move from talent to skill and from skill to business and make a killing out of it monthly. If you become an entrepreneur, you stand the chance of achieving better results than these guys who have become authors of bestsellers today. But even if you do not sell 1 million copies of your books, being an author and graduating to becoming an entrepreneur can bring you into super abundance. Hear this. You do not need to sell millions of books to make millions from your work as an author. Yes, your book does not need to be on Amazon's bestseller list to make millions from your craft. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with such achievements as they are great ones. However, you can mine the financial potential of your book idea without being a New York Times best-selling author. It is all about having the right strategies that would help you get your message out there in any way possible. So, what are these skills that can help you move from being just an ordinary author to being an extraordinary authorpreneur, an entrepreneur who has mastered the business of their talent, their gift, their skills, right? I'm going to share with you 3 really game-changing million-dollar skills that authors need but they don't have. And if you learn these 3 skills, you're going to be on your way to making $1 million from the books that you have written or the books that you are writing. And as I share these 3 skills, I'm going to break them down further to 5 sub skills, if you permit me to use that word. So we are going to have 3 skills on the top, and then we're going to have 5 sub skills under each of these 3 skills. And so I want you to watch and listen to this to the end so that you do not miss a bit, right? Now, the first skill that you need to master as an author is what I call product innovation. Product innovation, right? Mastering product innovation can help you move from being just an ordinary author to being an extraordinary authorpreneur who is able to generate 6 to 7 figures from their books, either in a monthly period or in a yearly period, right? Now, what does it mean when I say product innovation? What is product innovation all about? The ability to create solutions in form of books and also create solutions around those books is what I call product innovation. So you have a book right now. What are you doing with that book? Apart from letting it lie on your shelf or lie in your basement collecting dust or lie on Amazon's shelf, virtual shelf collecting dust, what more can you do with that book? That's where product innovation comes in. So instead of saying nobody's buying my book, how do I sell my book? You need to figure out, what can I innovate for my book? What can I create for my book? Can I create a game for my book? Can I create an app for my book? Can I build a business for my book? Can I create a coaching program for my book? Can I create a course for my book? That is what I'm talking about when I say product innovation. And most authors lack this skill. Now, product innovation has nothing to do with going into a room and turning on a camera and recording in a vacuum, recording a course in a vacuum and calling that a course you created from your book. No, that is a course you created in a vacuum. You don't want to go into a vacuum and create something like you did when you were writing your book that nobody buys, because nobody will buy that. Nobody will buy that course. If you do anything in a vacuum without getting the market heavily involved in what you're doing, you're shooting yourself on the foot, right? So the art of product innovation is the act of creating products around your core idea, the core idea of your book, and turning that into a business empire, right? If you wrote a book, that is the shortest way, that is the smartest way to build a business, because a book is actually a business on steroids, right? So under product innovation, there are 5 core skills that can help you to go from being just an author who's broke to being an authorpreneur who has experienced bestseller success, who actually makes money from their book idea. Now, the first skill you want to develop under product innovation is messaging. You want to improve your messaging. And then the next skill is the skill of packaging, right? So messaging is, how do you present the message, the core idea of your book to the marketplace in a way that resonates? You want to become really, really profound in your messaging, and this is a skill that must be learned. This is a skill that should be learned. This is something you want to actually work on intentionally. And how do you work on it intentionally? By going out there in the marketplace and teaching and sharing and expressing that message that you have in different ways and in different forms to see which one lands well with the market. And as you figure out the one that lands well with the market, you fine-tune your messaging, right? And what that also means is it could also lead you to changing the title of your book, changing the subtitle of your book, without necessarily changing the message of your book. So what am I saying? So let's assume this is a book. Now, this is one of my books. If I want to innovate, if I want to do what I call product innovation, if I want to demonstrate my product innovation skills on this book, what I would do is that I would change the messaging of this book by reviewing the title and making sure that it resonates with the market that I want to help with this book, changing the subtitle, and then repackaging it. That's the skill of packaging. You see, packaging is what actually determines how people perceive you and perceive your brand, perceive your book. Your packaging speaks to the book cover. Your packaging speaks to your branding. Your packaging speaks to how you present yourself and present your message. Your messaging has to do with the angles that you communicate your message with. It could be the same message, the same content, but with different messaging, with a different angle. And you do this until you find the ones that resonate most with your market. So that's for messaging. And then packaging is rebranding and repackaging your book, your idea, your content, right? So you can repackage your book from being just a book to being a video program. But you don't want to do that in a vacuum. You want to make sure that people pay you to actually create the courses that you want to create. You want to make sure people pay you to create your coaching program, right? I have a coaching program, and I did not have a single video recorded when I launched that coaching program. I got paid really, really good sums of money before I actually created that coaching program. And I created that coaching program by actually delivering it, right? Why is that so? Because when you create a coaching program or you create a course in a vacuum, you lock yourself in a room and you start recording yourself creating a course, what you're doing is that you're creating a course, you're creating a product in a vacuum. That thing would have teaching energy if you are really good at teaching, and then it will lack learning energy. And you want to have both really high. You want to have both teaching energy and learning energy at a really, really high place if you really want to crush it as an entrepreneur. And so if you just go into a vacuum and record a course and you say, oh, I've recorded a course, you're wasting your time. Nobody's going to buy it, most likely, right? Except you're some celebrity or you're some popular guy. And even the celebrities, they don't just do that. They leverage the power of product innovation, and they get the marketplace to be involved in the process of productizing their message, right? Now, the next skill you want to learn is the skill of positioning. Now, we have a market and we have different sections of the market. What most authors fail to understand is that positioning can actually change the game for you as far as your business is concerned. Most authors, they go and then they position themselves in a market that is really, really not good enough, a market that where they cannot make money from, a market that is not a profitable market, right? But if you want to make it as an author, you want to learn how to position yourself in profitable markets, right? How do I mean? You want to make sure that whatever you're teaching, whatever you're writing about, finds a way to connect to the three big niches, which is the wealth, health, and relationship niches. Now, it doesn't mean you have to teach health or teach wealth or teach relationship. It just means that you must figure out ways to help your audience make the connection between your message and health, between your message and wealth, between your message and relationship, right? So let's say you're teaching about what can I use as an example now? Let's say you're teaching about fitness, right? You're teaching about fitness. You want to figure out how people can use fitness to achieve their goals in the area of wealth, in the area of health, and the area of relationship. You want to tell them how your book on fitness can help them improve their relationships, help them improve their health, and help them increase their wealth. Now, that is something you have to figure out, right? That is something you have to figure out for the marketplace and express to the marketplace through your messaging, through your packaging, and then through your position, which is what I'm talking about. Now, the next skill under product innovation that you need to lock in as an author is the skill of publishing. Now, most authors think publishing is only when you publish a book, right? You publish a book, and then you say, oh, I published a book. But publishing goes beyond just publishing a book. Have you ever wondered why when you when you create a post on Facebook and you publish the post, it tells you your post has been published. Or maybe you create a blog and it tells you your blog has been published. Or when you create, maybe you create a podcast and you host it on a platform, it tells you it has been published. Or you post a video on YouTube and it says your video has been published. That is the concept I'm trying to communicate with you. You want to get better at publishing content in different forms. You want to get better at publishing content, not just in book forms, but in forms of videos, in forms of audios, in forms of short form content, in form of text content, in form of blogs, in different forms. You want to get better at publishing, right? Solomon, who was the wealthiest and wisest man who ever lived, the Bible says that his songs were 1,005, and he had written 3,000 proverbs. That means Solomon was very, very masterful at publishing. He was profound when it came to publishing. He was always sharing. He was always sharing his thoughts. He was always talking. He was always publishing content out there, and before he knew it, his fame spread abroad, so much so that the Queen of Sheba, she left what she was doing, she left her kingdom, and she brought gifts, she brought lots of money to King Solomon to hear his wisdom. How did she hear about him? There was no social media, there was no TV, there was no technology. How did she hear about him? She heard about him through word of mouth, because Solomon was a profound publisher of content. Now, these are the things that can help you lock in product innovation and help you become really masterful at becoming, and help you transition from being just an author who depends on selling a copy of his book one after the other to being an authorpreneur who actually makes a killing out of his craft, who has mastered the business of his talent. Now, I've talked about your messaging, I've talked about your packaging, I've talked about your positioning, and I've talked about your publishing. Now, that brings me to the fifth skill under product innovation skills that can change the game for you as an author and help you go from being just an author to being an authorpreneur. Now, the fifth skill is what I call asset creation skill. You must understand that your book is an asset, right? Your book is an asset. Your book is a property. It's an intellectual property. And you want to make sure that you invest whatever you need to invest into making that book a strong intellectual property, right? People go ahead, they take loans, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of loans to buy real estate properties. Why? Because they believe in the strength of owning a real estate property. They believe in the prospect of owning a real estate property, right? But did you know that your book is an intellectual property that could even fetch you a lot more money than a real estate property if you build your business around it, if you build the foundations that can help that book stand strong in the marketplace? But guess what? Most authors can barely even invest $500 to make their book stand out. They can barely even invest $500 to design a proper cover for their book. They rather go on some cheap sites where they can do free covers, all because they don't want to invest in their intellectual property. Now, am I saying you should break the bank just to design a book cover? No. But all I'm saying is that you need to start thinking about your book like a property, like an intellectual property, and start investing in giving your book idea the best chance at gaining expression in the marketplace. And that's what I call asset creation under product innovation skills. When you master asset creation, you master the ability to turn your ideas into books that become assets. According to what Daniel Priestley says, income follows assets. So the more assets you have, the more income you command. Now, writing 100 books does not mean you're creating assets, because you want to be very, very dogmatic and pragmatic in your asset creation if you want to really dial it in, right? And that goes in the way you conceptualize the book, the way you productize the book, the way you position the book, the way you message the book, the way you create and innovate around the book. All all of those components are what help you build a very valuable asset that can help you generate massive cash flow from your book idea. Now, there's so much more I can say on product innovation, but I'll move on to the next skill that is very critical for you as an author if you want to become an authorpreneur, if you want to generate income from your book idea. Now, the next skill is marketing skills. The first one was product innovation skills, and under product innovation skills, I taught you about the messaging skills, the positioning skills, the packaging skills, the publishing skills, and then the asset creation skills. Now, we're going to talk about marketing skills. Now, what is marketing? It will interest you to know that many people don't know what marketing is all about. They think marketing is advertising, right? But marketing is not just advertising. Marketing is advertising and much more. Marketing includes advertising, but marketing is not advertising, and you can actually market without even advertising. Marketing is the art and science of creating more and more desire for what you have created in the product innovation phase. And sometimes you can do marketing before product innovation, and I recommend that highly. And then you can do marketing during product innovation to fine-tune your product, and then you do marketing even afterwards. Now, marketing is something that you must get good at if you want to get people to pay you money, if you want to get the market to love you, to want you, to reward you for your labor. But guess what? Most authors, they don't know the first thing about marketing. They think marketing is about posting their book on their social media and saying, hey, buy my book. I just launched a book 2 days ago. Buy the book. Click the link below. Check out the link. No. You've got to stop that if you're doing that, because that is not marketing. Marketing simply means going to the market and listening to the market, observing the market, talking to the market, and getting feedback from the market so that you can understand exactly what the market wants, and then show up afterwards and provide them with the solutions they've asked for or that they've articulated in their problems, and then get more feedback so that you can make your product even better for them. That is the art and the science of marketing. So what are the core skills that helps you become better at marketing? The first skill I'm going to talk about is communing skills. You want to learn how to commune with the marketplace. You see, when you show up on social media, your first instinct should be to serve in a way that establishes a connection with the marketplace or with the people you're trying to serve in the marketplace. And then you start to commune with them. You start to talk to them. You start to learn what their pains are. You start to get them to recognize you, to know your voice. Jesus Christ said something. He said, my sheep knows my voice and they follow me. Why would the sheep know the voice of the shepherd? Because the shepherd has spent time communing with the sheep. He has spent time feeding the sheep. He has spent time helping the sheep, get cleaned up, helping the sheep feed, helping the sheep eat, drink. And so the sheep now knows his voice. And so when it's time to direct the sheep and tell the sheep, hey, go there, the sheep will go there. When you shop in the marketplace as an author, stop trying to sell. Because selling is a skill. And I'm going to come to that. You want to become really good at communing with people in the marketplace. Interacting, maybe that's a better word, interacting with the marketplace. You want to learn how to get people to know your voice. How do you do that? By communing with them, by showing up with them. Now, the next skill under marketing is branding. This is kind of connected to some of the things I said in product innovation, but it's actually different. Branding is the story that comes to mind when a name is mentioned. The Bible says a good name is better than riches, right? When you want to show up in the marketplace, if you want to become an authorpreneur who makes a very good income and generates revenue from their gifts as an author, you want to learn how to create a story around your name. You want to be good at telling stories, because storytellers are the best story sellers. The more you get good at telling your stories, the better you get at selling with your stories. Because when people remember you, they can easily associate some story with your name. That becomes your brand. And when you have a brand, it becomes easy to penetrate any market that you're going into, because you tend to leverage the force of the market forces that you have built in your favor when you were actually communing with the marketplace and getting the market to know your voice. Now you have a story, the market knows your story, and then when you shop with that story, it becomes easy for them to align with you, identify with you. Now the next skill under marketing is what I call promotion or promoting. You want to become really savvy at promoting. You want to improve your ability to promote what your story is, to promote your ideology, promote your philosophy. When I'm talking about promoting, the first instinct that most authors will have is, oh, I should promote my book, so that's why I'm posting my book 3 times a day. When you post your book 3 times a day, you are not promoting your book, but you're actually demoting your book from the consciousness of people, because the more they see your book every now and then, the more they build a barrier between you and them, and so you are demoting your book in the ranks of their mind. But the more you promote your ideologies, promote your message, promote your personality, the more you help people get promoted in their own journey, the more you're actually promoting your book. And when the time comes, people are going to beat a path to your doorstep, and then they are going to buy from you whatever you sell, be it a book, be it a program, be it a course, be it a coaching, whatever it is you sell. They are going to buy from you because you've done your job effectively in the realm of promoting, in the realm of branding, and in the realm of communing with the marketplace. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is the skill of advertising. Advertising is all about paying platforms to put some fuel in your message and take it out and show it to more people, right? Most people think advertising is all about putting an ad up and asking people to buy immediately. But guess what? I found better results with advertising when I actually create my advertising in a way that is native to the platform, that helps people really know me, like me, and trust me. So I can run an ad, and in my ad, I'm teaching, I'm educating people. I'm not necessarily eager to get them buy from me. I tell them, hey, I have something to sell to you, but before I sell something to you, I want to actually teach you something that's going to help you overcome your current pain. And if at the end of the day you feel like buying, it's okay. If you don't feel like buying, we're still friends. And then I teach them, and then I tell them, if you like to fix this problem I've just taught you about, you can go there and figure out a way to buy that thing. Now that is how you advertise, in a way that is classy, in a way that is not yelling or begging, and in a way that the marketplace will respect you and even trust you, right? I don't want to spend too much time on advertising because there's so much I could say on all these different skills, but I'll go on to the next skill, and that's the skill of affiliate marketing. You want to get good at building partnerships and helping people get commission when they actually refer people to you. And that involves mastering the art of negotiating with people who have an audience that you're trying to reach out to, and giving them a win in your win. It has to be a win-win-win. A win for the audience, a win for the owners of those audience, and then a win for you. That's what I refer to as the skill of affiliate marketing. Because most of the people you're trying to reach are already in the reach of people that are in your connection. So why go through the hard way and try to get those people one after the other when you can get the gatekeepers, you can get the owners of those audiences to be in your affiliate partnership, or to be an affiliate marketer for you, because it's in their best interest, right? So that is a skill you want to lock in if you want to proceed from being just an author to being an entrepreneur that makes a killing out of his craft. Now, that brings us to the third skill, which is selling skills. And selling, like you already know, is a very, very, very critical skill if you're going to make money. That's why nobody rewards you for being a best writing author. They reward you for being a best selling author. So if you're going to be rewarded for being a best selling author, why are you so terrible at selling and you're doing nothing about it? And then you're focusing on writing. You wrote your first book, nobody bought it, it did not sell. And then you're writing another book, and then you're writing another book, but you're still not selling. So you want to become the best writing author, when you should focus on how to be the best selling author, when you should be working on your selling skills, right? So Under selling, the core skills that you can develop and gain mastery at is number one, communication skills. You want to learn how to use your mouth to communicate a message that moves the masses to take action. And you do that by figuring out what the people want and figuring out a solution and figuring out a good way to say the solution. Many people struggle because they have a good solution, but they don't have a good way to say it. And that's where you need to work on your communication skills. And it takes practice to perfect the art of communication, right? The next one is the persuasion skill. You want to learn how to be persuasive without being compulsive, without compelling people to do things. You want to persuade them and help them see how what you're trying to do for them is in their best interest. And if it's in their best interest, you want to help them get to the point where they figure out that taking the action or buying the thing that you're selling is the next reasonable step to take, without telling them that it's the next reasonable step to take. And that's the art of influencing and persuading. And that's the next skill you want to learn. After that, you want to learn another skill, and that's the skill of contemplating. Contemplation, you want to learn how to contemplate about a solution that can change the game for people that you're trying to help in the marketplace. You want to learn how to contemplate better solutions, how to think and obsess over the problems of people in the marketplace and help them receive those solutions by communicating that value. And that's where contemplation becomes really, really important. Now, the next skill that I'm going to talk to you about is conversion. You want to learn how to get people converted from being cold to being sold, right? And you do this by actually practicing. You do this by learning. You do this by trying it out. You do this by watching things like this, and you do this by joining programs that can help you build that skill. Because conversion, there's an art and science to getting someone who you did not know before converted to becoming your follower, who actually buys, not just a browser, who likes your page or likes your post and never buys from you. I'm talking about a buyer who buys something from you worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, right? You want to learn how to convert people who are strangers to being followers. Jesus was very good at this. He would tell them, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. He would give them something that would really, really blow their minds in exchange for them to buy into his philosophy. He gave them what they want. When he wanted to teach the 5,000, he fed them when he saw they were hungry. Why do you think Jesus would perform a miracle before he actually taught them or shared his message or sold his message to them? He wanted to turn people from being strangers to being friends before actually selling them. And this is something you want to bake into your strategy, bake into your approach as you show up in the marketplace, if you want to actually go from being just an author who is begging people to buy books online to becoming an entrepreneur who people are chasing to do business with you because of your masterfulness at communicating, converting, persuading them to buy into your idea, right? Now, the next skill is what I call the ascension skill. Now, you want to learn how to convert someone to buy something from you, let's say at $100, and then you want to learn how to ascend them to buy something from you at a higher price for a higher value. And there's a psychology to doing this, right? There's a psychology you need to learn so that you can become really good at doing this. Now, the next one, and this will be the fifth one under selling, would be your retention skills. You want to learn how to get people to come back and ask for more and keep buying from you, right? Every now and then. That way you can actually build an empire, a business empire around your book. And so under marketing skills, I talked about branding, I talked about affiliate marketing, I talked about promotion, I talked about advertising, and then I talked about communing or interacting. And so under selling skills, the different things that you can actually develop to become a savvy authorpreneur who actually generates good cash from his books or book idea is you want to master the communication skills, contemplation skills, persuasion skills, conversion skills, ascension skills, and retention skills. I actually gave you 6 underselling and take that as a bonus from me. So instead of 15 skills altogether, I ended up giving you 16 skills that can help you go from being an author to being an authorpreneur under $3 million skills that authors need but they don't have. I want you to watch this video again, listen to this again if it actually helped you, if it blessed you, and take notes. Give me some feedback on which one you'd like me to dive deeper into, and let me know in the comment section how you feel about all that you've learned today. If you feel like this was useful, tell me in the comment section. If you feel like it was not useful, tell me in the comment section so that I can take that feedback and provide you with something even better next time. I'll leave it here for now. If you want to work on your book sales, if you want to fix your book sales problem, you have a book that's not selling and you need some help, some support from me, I'll invite you to join me for 5 days live in the Publishing Profits Challenge, where I'll be helping authors all over the world to fix their book sales problem. Day 1, we're going to fix your messaging. In day 2, we're going to fix your marketing. In day 3, we're going to fix your methods. In day 4, we're going to fix your monetization. And then in day 5, we're going to fix your momentum. I'm going to drop the link below so you can join the challenge, and I'll see you on the other side. Till the next one, have a good one, and bye-bye.